Hello and welcome to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Aaron Ramsdale. Peter Crouch and Chris Stark are with me as usual. All right, boys?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, right, mate.
Yeah.
How did you find the bike?
Yeah, tiring. Good fun though.
Good fun.
I think it'll be something we do again.
Yeah.
Maybe with my group of mates from up north. Stag do maybe.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Did you, Chris?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So if you haven't seen about this yet, where have you been? Aaron took us on a sort of beer bike tour of the Emirates and surrounding areas. I felt like I learned a fair bit. I think it's the first tour you've done, so we've got to give you a bit of a break on that one.
Don't give me a little bit, yeah.
But back stronger and all that is the motto.
Stronger, I'll do it again. Come back
But mate, thank you so much for coming and joining us in the pub. It's something we've been talking about for ages. I remember you got in touch because you've listened to the pod for a while, right?
Yeah, I spoke to you probably like 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago, and just sort of asked when it was coming back, like every other person was, and getting annoyed that there was no more episodes dropping. So I've been a fan since the very start, and then when there was a bit of a hiatus, I went back and started listening to the ones from the very start again. So yeah, this is it's a dream to be on here. To be honest, it really is.
Isn't that mad?
That is amazing. Yeah, no, it really is. You don't know who's listening or anything. So to hear that you've been listening to, it's nice. Listen, you're man at the moment. Arsenal's number one, England squad. Like I suppose you can't really be. You must be over the moon at how it's gone. Your start to your Arsenal career.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think when I signed that I'd be in straight away. The manager was upfront with me and said it might take you a year, might take you 6 months, but we don't see you as a number two. It just depends on how the team's doing. And I think thankfully for me that we were in a tough moment at the start of the season and I got sort of through in, and I managed to just sort of play with my confidence and yeah, just stayed in the team. And I think it always helps when obviously Bernd is a top keeper and a professional, and it's like people pushing you every day. It's so much easier to stay switched on than someone who just sort of tosses off.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so pleased you're on, Aaron. This is going to be a good one today. So much that we need to get into. We've got Dave here as well, who's just going to... I think the great thing about having Dave on this series, Crouchy, is he can give stats that help boost your ego. I mean, your ego has taken a real boosting since Dave has joined.
A boosting and a battering.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, because we're slightly dubious as to whether Crouchy is actually, in fact, in the 100 club or not.
I don't really want to delve into some of the goals. I feel like all I can think of is goals that should have been taken off me.
Dave?
No, I'm working in a way where we're trying to get more goals, more assists.
Okay.
I went through the Van der Vaart season. I tried my hardest to get you another assist. We didn't quite get one.
No.
There was one that was borderline where we could have gone to the Premier League and said, look, we need more assists here.
Yeah.
We need to get closer to Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. But there's a few seasons to check, and it's going to take me a bit of time to go through all the footage, find the footage, and then
look at me. He's got his little laptop over there. He's got it all set up. He's like Richard Osman over there. He's got his.
Dave, I'm loving it.
So let's bring Aaron in with a bit of a boost to his ego, right? What can you give us a couple of headlines that he might not? Should say as well. Obviously, we're in a boozer just round the corner from the Emirates. These are
it's a Champions League night as well, so things are starting to heat up.
Well, let's start with a big stat.
Yeah.
Aaron this season has completed 99% of his passes with his hands. Only Sarr, Meslier and Alisson have completed at a higher percentage, 100%.
All right.
I wouldn't have known that.
Really?
No, I would not have known.
Do you throw much?
Yeah, I get told I need to do it more.
Really?
Yeah, I can start
Quick throws.
Counter-attacks.
More than 99%.
Yeah, but that doesn't say the whole thing though, Chris. That could only be 10 throw-outs a season.
The volume was quite high, and there was a few that were like out wide to wide right to Saka. There were a few to Martinelli that were counter-attack starting.
That's why he's here.
What a nerd.
What a loser.
I can see his laptop, and it says, John Harrison, one of my fellow nerds.
Yeah.
Look, you have to back yourself. So
Are
John,
you happy being a nerd?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to roll with it.
You think that in 5-6 years' time, keepers might be redundant? Is
that what you're saying, Dave?
I think keepers are going to become such a key cog in how teams play that they will be outfield players. So there was a Bundesliga 2 about 2-3 years ago. There was a few coaches that were trying keepers in central midfield in a sense of when you build out from the back, you play through that first line. I think we already do that. Arsenal do it really, really well. But where I think it might change is like the progression. So you're in that mid-third of the pitch. How would you progress the ball? I think keepers could be used there. in the final third, I think keepers could be used there. It's an extra outfielder. You have one more player to play with.
Are you talking about rush goalie? As I know
Basically,
it?
fly keeper. It's going to happen.
What are you saying?
Not to that extent of rush goalie. But no,
This is old
we
school.
try and-
Everything comes back round, doesn't it?
we
Rush
try and,
keepers
we
back.
try and now, even now, we try and play where I become a centre half in a back four or a back three.
Really? So this is happening now?
So this
Well,
is
so you're
happening.
training with defenders?
No. So when you
do shape.
when you're doing shape and you're going through playing out from the back, you don't have the goalkeepers. People who want to play out from the back, teams now, won't have goalkeepers just standing in the 6-yard box. They will be on the edge of the box or in line with the centre halves. Obviously, give the ball away, you're in a terrible position. But that is...
Just how things changed. Like when I was playing, obviously, you know, the goalkeepers would always go over to a separate area and do the thing. Like, what would your daily routine be?
Yeah, that's still the same.
And keepers always in the gym. They love the gym, don't they?
That's all the same. So
Why
we're
do you
in-
love the gym so much?
just because of like everything we put our body through, upper body wise. So I'm 87 kg. Every time I land, depending on how forceful my jump is, I'm getting 87 to 100 plus kg going through, shaking me basically. So that's elbows, shoulders, hips. You have to use your core a lot for saves, getting up, but also for saves, so you don't rotate the same as a spread.
What do you think you're a bit shit at the moment?
I'd probably say sort of the mid-range to long-range shooting. I'm very, because I did a lot on 1v1 spreads, so sort of the starfish one. My legs get very wide, like almost like a tennis player, like when there's about to receive a serve. So when it's in a mid area from sort of 12 to 18 yards, when I get very wide and rigid and very tense, it's quite hard for me to move my feet. So that is probably the area I'm shit at the moment.
Can I just step in here? Like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but I think the best save of the season was from you. I think you know the one from the free kick. Was it Madison?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a save!
Oh,
and that was, I'd say, mid to long
At
range.
this point of recording the podcast, that's his best save so far. Yeah.
What's the best save
No,
for me?
it's-
It's the save of the season.
Yeah, I'd probably say
Is
so.
that your best you've ever?
I've got
produced?
that or one more, which I was a Wimbledon save against Luton a couple of years back on loan. It was like a deflected save. So
Yeah.
Is that the kind of save where you get all the messages after the game
yeah,
from like other players or
Yeah,
other
I think
goalies?
it
Or
was quite funny. We had sort of an England camp a few weeks later, so obviously that was sort of conversation between quite a few of them with me, and you know, I know Madders quite a bit, so that, and a few of the Leicester lads. So after the game, and then it was funny because the Leicester game at home, I made another decent save off Harvey Barnes, and Brendan Rodgers' reaction sort of, oh my word, sort of thing. And he spoke to me after and said, I don't want to play against you again, sort of thing. So yeah, I think,
And also, like, I remember watching Match of the Day, like everyone, like pundits, people tweeting about
It was a biggie, wasn't
it became like a viral thing, didn't it? Like,
yeah,
what was the maddest?
Peter Schmeichel
tweeted about it.
Yeah, Peter
Really?
Schmeichel said it's the best save I've seen in the Premier League for years.
did he? I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
So that was the maddest thing. So I was like,
he's obviously, like, you've mentioned him a few times now. He's obviously a big
With some
inspiration.
plays in the Premier League, that's a bit shithouse from him. Actually.
Yeah, it's a bit
a bit-
shit house.
and he was at
Yeah. Sunhousery.
he was at the other end of the pitch as well.
And he was playing.
He was playing.
Talking of shithousery, Aaron, this is a subject I'd like to get into you about. Andy Robertson, we've had a friend of the pod, top shithouser, and I believe you're on the way to becoming a top shithouser.
One of England's greatest.
One of England's greatest. I mean, if you carry on at this rate, it's an alarming rate that you've started at. You could become England's best.
all the way to the top.
Yeah.
The Keown move versus Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
For me, top shithouse move of the season.
It was good housery. But I think it got blown out of a bit of a proportion because there was 5 or 6 Arsenal players in front of me. So I celebrated with them.
It looked like you were running
It
towards
looked
him.
like it. I probably had that in my head and then stopped halfway.
Yeah.
But it's just emotion. It's nothing to do with him, nothing to do with his football club or anything like that. It's just pure emotion. And I find it quite funny how other players or other fans can do what they want to goalies who stand there on their own for 90 minutes, get abused. And I waved at a Chelsea fan the other week who was giving me all sorts all second half, and we scored the penalty, and I waved at him. And the security guard said, "Why'd you do that? That wasn't necessary." So I said, "You've listened to everything he said, every name under the sun, but I can't simply wave." So it's enjoyment for me.
When you were being Keown in that moment, though, right? So
did Keown enter your mind at all?
Yeah, were you pretending to be Keown?
I'm pretty sure Martin was the BT man before the game with Rio, and he was on the pitch. Maybe it just stuck in there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
that's subconscious.
Subconsciousness, yeah, maybe.
That is subconscious. You thought, there's Keown, Van Nistelrooy.
And I'm going to do it one better.
Like subconsciously, you might have thought that.
Yeah, maybe.
Did Keown say anything to you afterwards?
I've never met him. I've never spoken to him.
Never met him? Oh, we need that to happen.
I've never spoke to Martin.
Just a shithouse off. Like it would be like a rap battle.
Just in the defence, I've watched 57 minutes today of Aaron's saves, and it's a frequent thing. Look, you high five your teammates when you've done that, and it's a good part of your game, right? It builds up the confidence of the players around you.
Yeah, it keeps me engaged. If I'm, giving some out to players or fans, I can't make a mistake because I'm going to get hammered. So after Fernandes missed that penalty, if I knew if he'd have scored against me, I'm in big, big trouble.
Would you have accepted a Keown back?
If he'd have scored?
After the penalty, you've Keowned him.
100%.
He then scores.
And I'd have shook his hand after the game and said fair play.
He Keowned you.
Yeah.
You'd accept
I'd have said fair play after the game, yeah. But I don't think his level of housery would have took him that far.
These moments in football where it's like revenge is later on in the game. And you saw it with Alisson recently as well. Like I thought some superb housery from him.
Pickford and
you know what? These things, you remember little things that happen and you think, you know what? You will have your day. And when Pickford did that and winked, right, it wound up a lot of Liverpool fans. It wound up a lot of people. And the fact that Alisson did it, I thought that was top housery.
Yeah, what was your take on that housery?
That's something which I think if it's reciprocated well by both people, I don't have any problem with it. It's when you see one person do it and, for instance, if Jordan would have done it and then after the game would have had a problem with Alisson doing it, I think that's when it just becomes petty and things. But I know Jordan as a person. And if you give it, you got to take it.
You got to take it.
Got to.
Goalies do have to experience this for the full game.
Because he can hide in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
I'm literally taking a goal kick and standing certain grounds 3 or 4 yards away from the front row.
Has any ground ever rattled you?
Yeah. Accrington Stanley away.
Really?
My Football League debut, chucked 2 in.
Really?
And I had 3 sides
in your head.
3 sides of the stadium singing "It's All Your Fault." Some other expletives. Really? And my mum was ready to fight them all.
Oh, that's hard. Look, in the early
Football
days.
League, and then Jeff Stelling on Sky was like, "Oh, his kit's too big. He looks too young, and all this."
How old were you?
18. First ever Football League game.
No, I think that is the mentality of someone who is always going to achieve. I think it's difficult, and it's probably the easy option to throw one in and then find it difficult and go, do you know what? I'm getting paid here. I could stay at Bournemouth. It's quite a cushy club. Rather than put yourself out there, go out on loan and, and force your way to where you are now.
But he's also saying that he thrives off this sort of difficult energy that comes from people.
I think that's where I've been, though. So Chesterfield, my first ever loan, bottom of the league, League 2. My second ever loan, the year later, Wimbledon, both in January, bottom of the league by 12 points, managed to stay up. So I think Bournemouth relegated, Sheffield United relegated. So I think starting in hardship, started in a team which was struggling, I think that's gives me the base anyway. I think
the more shit you get, you seem to feed off that.
Yeah, I think that's why I think I struggled at the start of last season. No crowds, and probably towards the end of the Bournemouth season.
Because some players really faltered in that environment, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
You've
And
seen
some
it though in
people-
training, haven't you?
Yeah.
You can have so many amazing training players on a Saturday.
You see them all the time.
Arsehole falls
You
out.
see them all the time.
So, but then as soon as lockdown came, then certain players were through the roof with stats and goals and assists, clean sheets or whatever.
yeah, I think that. Yeah,
And then as soon as the fans come back, you don't really see them, or they go some abroad or
so
something.
true.
My main sort of aim at the moment maybe is I need to be careful of how many teams I piss off, and I'm being genuinely serious because at one point I hope to be an England goalie, so I don't want I want their support, sort of thing. But yeah, first World Cup game, I'd be ready.
What a thing to say. I just need to be careful about how many teams I piss off.
So true.
Right, so the impression I've always got from Crouchy with the manager's relationship with goalkeepers is that the manager was always, maybe it's just how you saw it, or maybe I've misunderstood it, quite possible, but the manager was more bothered with the outfield players and the goalies were kind of more into themselves. And the impression I'm getting from you is that the manager's quite involved with you.
So this is where I know me and Crouchy earlier were having a bit of banter about goalies being more important, but that is the way it's going now. Like when we're doing build-up phase, the manager's basically speaking to me. He tells people where to go. He gives me a format of how to play, but then puts his arm around me and says, "You're playing the game. You make your own decisions." He was heavily involved in bringing me to the club, so I almost, not necessarily favoritism, but
no, but
he
you
has
get
a-
the big coat.
he has
Do you know what I mean by that?
he gives me the
Okay.
added sense of
Are you parched? at
no,
Arsenal?
absolutely not.
Who's parched?
Oh, oh,
Because it sounds like you might be parched
No,
at
no, no.
Arsenal.
no.
He's put a lot of time and effort. Leno would think you're parched, I reckon.
100% think.
He's there. That's right. He's texting everyone else, isn't he?
He's
It's
texting
like-
his pals.
Parched.
Oh, guys.
Yeah,
They've signed
Martin
parched.
Odegaard's parched.
Oh, Martin Odegaard.
Martin Odegaard, sweet boy.
Odegaard's parched.
I can
he
see
looks
that.
parched.
He looks
I
parched.
knew he was parched.
To be fair, he was playing for Real Madrid when he was 12 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
He's been around and
Yeah. Is
Martin
he
Odegaard.
already talking tactics with the manager at his tender age?
I don't know what they're saying because they're speaking in Spanish.
Right.
But you know, like sort of day after a game, if we're in the gym for recovery, he'll speak to most people in English. Maybe one or two of the lads who English ain't great, but Martin's English is perfect and he's speaking Spanish.
Yeah, but he's speaking Spanish.
That's
He's
parched like
El
behaviour.
Parched.
Yeah, Al Parched. And I tell you who's another Parched. Cedric Suarez. He thinks he's I'm putting people on smash here. Don't mind it. He is
El
a
Parched.
future. He thinks he's a future Pep.
Really? Oh,
Cedric.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, he needs to read it right.
Oh,
doesn't he?
Brilliant.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he doing the hands? The
Oh, Cedric gives all sorts. Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
he's a future manager in the making.
Yeah, Cedric. But then Martin's just a
El
boss's
Parched.
baby.
El
yeah.
Parcio.
El
What a
Parched.
revelation.
Oh, some more of your languages coming out there, wasn't it?
Oh, Crouchy loves the languages.
I'm good at them. Very good at them.
Spanish for parched is El Parcio.
El Parched.
I want to get into the draft excluder.
Oh.
Right.
This, your favourite, isn't it?
This is my absolute favourite. I've been gagging to talk
This
about
is
this.
also for me as well. Like, it's not something that I had when I was playing. Like, so I'd be a hell of a fucking good.
But
draft
you'd be it.
excluder.
But they
You'd be
don't.
so
They
good.
don't often use a striker as a draft excluder. But you would
If
have.
you had
to, you'd
some
have
of
to
the
do it.
attributes that
Oh,
I
you'd
have.
be so good.
So
But back in the day, you never had the foam. You did towards the end of your career, no?
What?
The foam on the floor.
No foam. Yeah, towards the
Towards
end,
the end.
obviously. Yeah.
But then back in the day,
Yeah.
your wall would be 7 yards
yeah.
because you just creep.
yeah,
So you never
yeah.
needed really, and that's how.
You don't.
that's-
Oh, so now you do with the 10
You
yard
have
drop.
to.
You
And that's
really
why.
is that important for you? A free kick, you would say to Arteta, you'd say, I need a draft excluder.
And are you doing it
Depending on
because
who
you
we're
think
playing.
you need it, or are
No.
you doing it because you just want to see one of your players out like a little
No, it's
bitch?
just need depending on who
do
we're
you,
playing.
do you think it's important?
so
Yeah.
many questions.
No, do you think
Yeah.
it's important?
So
Yeah,
you play
do.
James Ward-Prowse. If you've got someone underneath the wall, and you've
That's
got,
ruled out.
and you've got a 6'3", 6'4", a 6'3", and a 6'3" in the wall, and they jump all at the same time, when the ball is at going over the
Yeah,
wall,
makes a lot of sense.
it gives him hardly any chance. He's so good where he can still do it. And I, depending on who we play, I have one.
Do you request
I've got lots
like?
of
Do you?
questions.
So do you? So free kick, right? Do they look at you to make the call whether you want to draft excluder? And then do you point at the player and go, you?
No, he knows
down.
before the game. Before the game.
Designated draft excluder.
The draft excluder knows.
Yeah.
Arteta will pick. You're excluding.
Our set piece coach will pick.
Do you get a say?
No. I could do if he starts putting Gabriel as a draft excluder and I've got Cedric and Martin defending James Tarkowski in the box.
Yeah. Do you think draft excludes? Because I think what makes it quite funny is they face away from the ball.
They have to.
So they're lying. Yeah, but don't you think it's more manly to face the ball
Not allowed.
as the draft excluder?
Not allowed.
If it hits your hand,
Hands.
VAR.
Hands. Yeah.
You won't get VAR
but how
from a draft excluder.
but seriously, how manly would it be if you faced front on and put the arms behind your back?
That's a Terry Butcher.
Now that is a geezer. That is a geezer.
intimidation,
Do that, and you are a fella. You are a man.
So
We found out in the Euros. So before the Euros, referees came in and whatnot and spoke to the team, and we asked the question, and they said it's better if you turn the wrong way.
you asked if the draft excluder can face the ball.
It's going to win you a tournament or not.
Yeah, but why? But there's not many benefits other than just looking fucking hard.
No,
that you would take a ball in the face or the bollocks.
You need to switch, you need to switch on
ball,
now.
right?
you can say about the wall. Like, why doesn't the wall face the other way?
You
That's
need
a
to
good
switch
point.
on because
Yeah.
if something happens and he's facing the ball, he can see most of where the ball lands. So he could be facing the other way and be keeping people offside and stuff.
Can you tell me, is there a rule against, say, some goggles being bought on? like a mask?
You're so childish.
Like, yeah.
You're so
Yeah,
childish.
but just
Shall we
entertain
do
it for a minute.
Shall I do
right?
it? Martin Odegaard. He's my draft excluder.
Facing forward.
El Parcio.
Al Parccio.
El Parcio.
Al
But
Parccio
say-
is my draft
so-
excludio.
Yeah, but when he goes to lie down, go, no, turn around.
Shall we try? I'll try.
Face it.
If I got this weekend.
No.
West Ham.
Face it. So if we see Arsenal and Odegaard's draft excluding full frontal,
Which have I brought a cup on?
well, you know,
Cricketer's cup and a helmet.
Yeah, that's what I think. Someone runs on. Like,
Odegaard's going full frontal. Who have you got the weekend?
West Ham.
West Ham. Full frontal. Who takes them from West Ham?
yeah.
Cresswell. Cresswell. So he.
We will need a jumper because
All right.
he's a decent left foot
See
over
if
the
you
ball.
can bring in Odegaard full frontal
Okay.
on the weekend.
I'll ask him.
Can you imagine
I'll
the
ask
first full frontal draft excluder?
Is El Parcio.
Is El Parcio. Twitter will explode. Full frontal.
You're so invested in this draft excluder.
I love it. I'll tell you why.
I've got a
because
question, sorry.
I think it's just to explain. I think the draft excluder
new.
is new, and I think that's why it's fascinating. It's been interesting seeing what Crouchy thinks of it because it didn't exist and why it's there. And sometimes I feel it's just people going through the motions. It's a bit like sniffing a cork with a wine or something. It's not totally necessary. You know?
It's like something like it's interesting hearing like obviously a modern day goalkeeper explain it to me, and like the way you've explained it there is like if the wall's jumping, the draft excludes underneath. It's almost cancelling out that whole corner to some degree where you're in the other corner.
If
So
our wall jumps properly and has no gaps,
Yeah.
that allows me to stay where I am
where you are.
as long as possible.
Yeah.
And it also depends for me on angles. So if it's
Yeah.
more on the angle of the box, more outside the angle of the goal, don't necessarily need one. So if it's a right foot, you're going to see it's going to come in to out.
But
more.
you make the call.
I make the call.
Aaron, it's so good getting you along for this podcast. So obviously we get loads of emails. You know the drill. Do you want to take one of them here?
Yeah, so Anne-Marie, she's been asking, I've been thinking about what the bedtime routine looks like for all the Premier League managers. I've decided who is a full pyjama man, who reads a book, who falls asleep with the TV on, and who necks a scotch. To get you started, she thinks Tuchel definitely wears full pyjamas. You've got to have...
I've got
some
a weird
opinion
thing about Tuchel, right? Whenever he comes on the telly, Ab reckons he's really fit.
Is he on Abs's list? You know, like the 5, like...
Well, no, because he lives around the corner. I hope
See,
not.
that's the worry, isn't it? Imagine you found out it was
Well, I
him.
came home and Tuchel was in full pyjamas. Every gaff.
So getting back to it,
Yeah, I think the easiest way to sort of tackle this beast of a question is we each pick a manager and then describe their bedtime routine.
Rafa reads a book.
Rafa reads
Rafa
books.
reads a book.
Million
I was
books.
going to say Pep as well. Like Pep's got a little bit of like philosophy about him.
Full pyjamas, Aaron?
Maybe Mikel.
Hell.
Yeah, maybe some nice cotton or linen or whatever it is.
Do you think he's a full pajama man?
Maybe.
Are you imagining more robe than?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I can. I think
Slippers.
you've got.
Nice
Yeah,
slippers.
initialed.
Maybe off the wife.
Can I just throw one in here? Which manager sleeps completely naked?
Great shout.
Dave, you got any stuff?
I reckon, I reckon that's Jurgen Klopp.
Klopp.
Absolutely.
Klopp's
out.
Klopp.
He sinks a pint of lovely pint of German
Klopp's
lager,
bolloco.
strips down, gets into bed with his missus.
I do think Klopp's bollock naked.
you?
Actually, yeah, I think it's a
Do you
really good
really?
shout.
He's
I
a maverick,
can't-
isn't he?
Yeah,
See that?
A bit
Conte?
cold at night.
yeah. Conte.
100%. I know what Conte is before bed. Ball stranglers, straight in.
Wife beater, maybe?
Nah, he's going top off, ball stranglers, straight in. He pair of Armani's, Calvin's, but the tight little one.
What's Gerard doing,
Steven
Crouch? You know
Gerrard?
him best. Have you slept in the same room as him?
Come on, Crouchy.
I've done you here, haven't I? I've done you here. Come on, Crouch.
Don't be a shit bag, come on.
What, he's a manager?
He was a player.
He's a Premier League manager now. Come on.
He's a Premier League manager. Describe his bedtime routine.
Naked.
Is he? Gerard.
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 Just shout that when he gets into bed.
Yeah.
Gerard.
Missed anyone out?
Patrick Vieira.
Got to be naked.
It's got to be naked.
Aaron, first time on the podcast. How's it been?
Yeah, amazing. I think there's plenty more we could have spoke about, but time's running out. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
We'll do it another time. And also, I think it's like, now you've done the podcast as well, I think there'll be a lot of our listeners that are looking out for ways that you can pass the pod. Is there anything in particular you think you can... I think it's sort of... We've done this with players before where they celebrate goals and it's a bit of a passing of the pod. It'd be good if...
But I was thinking, when you...
Shithousery from Aaron.
Yeah, when you're celebrating a goal like you do, if you could just perhaps do the bike celebration.
The bicycle. Yeah.
Or you can... If that's not inspired you enough, maybe you could come up with something that...
Well, I'll do something, most definitely.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of the pod.
Either the bike or just passing the pod in some way. It'll be done by the end of the season.
I
Good
don't
work,
doubt
Aaron.
that for a second.
Yeah. It's been good fun. Sorry about all the noise. We've obviously recorded this in a pub just around the corner from the Emirates, and it's really kicking off in the kitchen. You might have heard a few orders coming in, the odd dog bark here or there, but I think it's been a good one, Crouchy.
Been a great one, mate. Honestly, do you know what? And also, it's been really insightful, learning about sort of the goalkeeper's regime, how you train, the stats, and the techniques really, and also the future of it. You're good with your feet, and that is going to be a huge part of a goalkeeper's makeup, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough and challenging times, isn't it? But if that's the way football's going, you've got to be able to adapt, or you don't stay around for long, do you?
We always finish with our podcast catchphrase. So, Aaron, we'll let you do the honours and tell everyone. For the next episode, we're going to be...
Back stronger.
I love that.